Welcome to the first episode of Pilot Talks, Pilot Ki Baat. I am Captain Vijay, Master Mariner, sailing onboard chemical tankers. I am very much active on social media platforms, sharing my knowledge and experience. Recently, I had made a small video on the correct pilot boarding arrangements without the use of D-shackles. The video was recognized internationally. So I had this small idea of creating our own talk show wherein we discuss all topics, all issues in maritime pilotage. I contacted Capt.Gajanan Karanjikar. He's the president of All India Marine Pilot Association, AIMPA. To my surprise, he very much liked this idea and gave his full support. And here we are in this first episode of Pilot Talks, Pilot Ki Baat. So let's not wait. Let's get Captain Gajanan Karanjikar, my co-host, on board.
Good morning, Vijay.
How are you,
Thank you
sir?
very much. I'm doing great.
All right, sir. First of all, sir, thank you very much for your support in giving me this opportunity to host this beautiful show.
No, you're most welcome. I saw your video on the pilot ladder and unusual use of D-shackles on that, and it prompted me that if we can have, various aspects of piloting and pilot ladder safeties, overall safety and security of pilots, then it will be a nice thing. So thank you very much. Thank you to you because you have, putting a lot of efforts in making those videos also on tankers and all that. So I think I have found the right guy now who can take this forward.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Let me just share some statistics of our social media platform. Like I've been using Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook these days most often. So in Instagram, we have about 1 billion users every month. Every user spends about 30 minutes on Instagram every day. In YouTube, we have about 2 billion users, and average user spends about 11 minutes every day. And the Facebook is the most popular one. We have about 2.7 billion active users, and it's the third most visited website, second most downloaded app, and then user spends about 34 minutes of time on FB every day. So basically, the intent of this show that I discussed with you was to use these social media platforms to a maritime pilotage community advantage, and then we'll upload a content which will be easy to understand, convenient to watch.
Let me introduce AMPA just briefly. There was an accident in Mumbai port in August 2019. Yes, where a very senior pilot, Captain VP Gupta, he lost his life while climbing down the ladder.
Okay.
Now, this prompted basically a safety issue with the pilot as to, and somebody to stand with them. We means the group of mariners, we realized that there is no pilot association in India to cover all pan-India pilots. The opportunity was seen there, the scope also was there, and we thought we will agitate the pilot ladder issues initially because it is a low-hanging fruit. And there were a lot of lacunas. I mean, if I tell you statistics now on our side that almost 60% vessels visiting India are non-compliant on the pilot ladder. That's a huge thing. There is 60% potential in Indian waters today of pilot having an accident. So there have been many accidents happening. I mean, we realize that pilots don't report the accidents. They are not reported to the port. Ports doesn't, take it forward again. So we thought we, as an anonymous body or as a recognized body also in future, we would do this kind of work, pilot safety and security. Thus, the safety and security became our motto of pilot, and we launched the association. There are no memberships we are collecting so far because we want to do a lot of groundwork first, and then we realized that the pilot. I mean, it is not only the safety and security of pilot, or not only pilot ladder, but there is entire safety of navigation in port. Basically, safety of port and infrastructure, environment, national security. Everything is going to be, at stake if you let this subject does not get its, the due from the administration, from ministry, from everyone. AMPA launched a social campaign, and this is how the journey started. I'm very thankful to community that they've been very helpful to me. I mean, whatever we have done, governing council so far under the name of AMPA has been well recognized, and administration itself praises, our efforts. So that's the kind of a receipt we get of doing good service. AMPA has to cover a lot of ground still in India. And then the thought came in mind recently to our mind that, that AMPA shouldn't be just organization. It has to be a movement, where the safety, security, safety of navigation in port, harbor front matters in the port should be taken care of. AMPA also in future, wants to get involved in accident investigation, because we don't have an accident investigation agency in India. And investigation agency and the rule-making body is same. So that could be a little bit, a conflict of interest there.
Okay.
So we need to find the improvement platforms, and that's how this video talk is going to help, because AMPA publishes journal every month on 15th of every month, and it is very informative. We've got 8 volumes out so far,
Okay.
and we have about 1,600 subscribers to that, and it goes to all European bodies and IMO, and we are having the efforts put in to create in the Ministry of Shipping and everybody else, just to create awareness. And these videos, these pilot talks, as our Honorable Prime Minister says, pilot ki baat, like his Man ki baat program. If it goes to the, even common man, we will be able to generate the, kind of awareness in them, make them aware as to what pilots are about. This is not about aircraft pilots, so it's not about these are very maritime pilots who are so much involved in import, export, and supporting the trade. Even in this pandemic, only the ports were working. And entire port machinery ecosystem, which is the pilot, is an inherent part of it. He's an important cog in the wheel, and he was, and all the pilots were working. And so it makes me feel very proud that this has come to this stage now. And I'm really thankful to you for taking this up. And it's a good idea again to do a fortnightly publishing of these videos. And there are many topics which come to my mind now. And of course, we will discuss them. And we will get the industry stalwarts who have been there, done that, instead of reinventing the wheel and trying to find solutions ourselves. We will ask the people who have done it and been there, done that, for the pilot transfers, with the not only safety of navigation in port, but also safety of environment, as to what all needs to be done, with respect to the pilotages, improvement in pilotages, use of the pilotage units and things like that, so there is a lot of scope to discuss. Thank you so much.
Well said, sir. Well said. And again, it's my pleasure to be a part of this, organization and do something for a pilot community as well. As discussed, sir, we'll be uploading this video, for our viewers on 7th and 21st every month. And we'll be inviting, as you said, various guests from maritime industry, pilot organizations, and we'll be discussing various topics. A few examples, pilot ladder dangers, safe transfer arrangements, master pilot exchange, BTM, BRM for pilots, human factors, which is very much ignored in IMO, etc., etc.
And I always reiterate that it is not only pilot, it is also a port official which boards joining, signing off, crew board. So everybody who's using the pilot ladder, his life is at stake if the pilot ladder is not rigged properly. Well, a lot of people are activists about this dangerous ladders Facebook page, which is incepted and run by Harry Palmer. He's been a pioneer. In India we have many pilots who are working towards it. But they have limitations, being in government job and being in a port environment job. That's why we said, okay, we will take this forward in order to ensure that no other pilot falls from the pilot ladder under the watch of AMPA when the AMPA is existing. That is our motto, and we are working towards it.
And definitely this video or talk show, Pilot Ki Baat, Pilot Talks, is definitely going to help in this vision, sir.
Absolutely, I have no doubt, because you see, people, not everybody reads. We have very important articles being printed in AMPA journal, and not everybody reads. So this kind of medium, I give you the free hand to put it on any social media, and every social media can reach all over the world. Idea is that people see these things on the go, and people understand the repercussions and importance of the pilot transfer as such. I would really, like to take this opportunity to tell everyone, please watch these videos, share with everyone, educate people, train everyone. It should go to every ship, and every ship should be able to see this, videos. Pilotsafety.com, pilotladder.com, all these people in PTR Holland also. I mean, they will upload our videos in order to get them to the maximum audience. Like AMPA Journal has about 1,600 subscribers, but it has about 4,000 plus views on LinkedIn every time we post AMPA Journal. I don't want to say whether people don't read or don't read, but it is reaching them. So again, communication is about effectively communicating, people understanding. So this is also communication medium, and we are rightly so using it for the benefit of pilot. The AMPA is formed by pilots for pilots. It has got that kind of a involvement of pilots, and I would really urge people to take advantage of these videos.
All right, sir. So in this first episode of Pilot Talks, Pilot Ki Baat, we will be having an esteemed guest who will be a mentor and a guide in this vision. He is a fellow of Nautical Institute. He is a principal consultant with Marine Consultancy Group Private Limited, Australia. He has developed human factors based various programs for past 25 years, including BRM course, professional development, advanced marine pilot training, and proficiency checks for marine pilot. He has been instrumental in developing special safety management system for the unique risk profile of pilotage operations. His recent work involves developing a third generation BRM course as a response to challenges for pilots in the age of big data. He has also received the Maritime Services Award by AMSA in 2014. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Captain Ravi Nijjer. So would you like to add something about a special guest today?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I consider him as my mentor, personal mentor, as well as, he's guiding AMPA to a great extent. We did our first ever webinar in India on reconceptualizing the Indian maritime pilotage through his guidance. And it was a great success. Even we received a lot of appreciation from, port officials and administration, and also from all people who are in government. So I think involving Ravi Nijjer is a good idea, and he will definitely be a guiding force. He is the one who has revamped the entire pilotage training scenarios in Australia. There were unfortunately 5-6 accidents in Australia in 95, 96. So that's where they went into investigating. So let's not talk about what he has done, and let's hear from him as to what he has done and how that can prove a guidance to us in the community, as well as the port administration and ministries, to take this due cause of safety and security of pilots, maritime pilots. Thank you.
All right, so let's not wait and let's get Captain Ravi Nijjer sir on board.
Yes.
All right, sir. So first of all, I would like to thank you. You have been a mentor and a guide, and I would really take this opportunity to welcome you, to be a part of our show.
Thank you. Very happy to be a part of the show.
This program is based on, Modi ji's Man Ki Baat. Like we want to put Pilot Ki Baat. So it will give visibility to it.
Yeah.
So there we are, sir. You can have your thoughts on this, please. I mean, if you want to say something about this talk show.
No, it's a very good idea, because mostly the people don't read so much these days, and they listen though, and so this might get a bigger audience with this format.
All right, I got my command last year, and being a master mariner, we are not much associated with the pilotage community. So I just happened to see the latest AIMPA webinar, and there I went through some topics, and one of the point which was the fact of India to reconceptualize the maritime pilotage was identified. So what is what can be opinion that it can be to in India we can revamp this whole system?
The only thing I can say is that we face the same problem, because what you have in India is what we had in Australia. in the 19th century, the British Empire expanded and they developed a whole system of trade between their far-flung colonies. And there was marine insurance, there were ships, and then one of the critical jobs used to be marine pilotage. So this job was mainly held by an expatriate Britisher, and it was considered so strategic that just not anybody could be a pilot. You had to have your sort of proven loyalty to the British Empire. And the first Indian pilot on the Hooghly was actually first pilot was Captain Daniel, and he was recruited in 1936. He was still piloting when I worked briefly on the Hooghly 62, 63, and he retired a few years later. So pilotage was something that it was, because it was strategic, it was done by an expatriate Britisher. And that was also true in Australia. This was a job held by expatriate Britishers. And it continued till the 80s in Australia. And then in the 80s, what happened was that it's just part of a whole thing of awakening in Australia. We had the highest court of appeal used to be the House of Lords. So I can't tell you the exact year, but in the 80s, that was no longer the case. The highest court of appeal then became a court in Australia, Supreme Court, I think it is. And so there was a kind of, I would say, an Australianized, they felt that they could stand on their own legs and manage it quite well. And also the condition, all the courses we had here everything we did was in lockstep with the British. And if they moved, to 1 inch to the right, we moved. The system was just a complete copy. And then the conditions in Australia were different to England. So here, an Australian captain, a captain on an Australian ship, for example, he had to have exemptions. And if you couldn't get exemptions, you couldn't take the master's job. So that's the way it was here. And the economics of running an Australian ship. The Australian ship owners used to pay for the masters, for people going to their master's ticket. They'd pay for the whole course, and it was very expensive. And so they started looking at what was in the master's course. And one of the issues that came up is that, how much of it is about piloting? And the answer was resounding zero. So the first thing they did, they actually employed somebody from the UK, which was a standard response. So this guy arrived, and we were very keen to see his notes, whether we could find something on pilotage in it. And we found that there was a little bit on pilotage, but that would never pass, the scrutiny of the Australian shipping industry. They wanted something solid in it. And then through a series of events that occurred, I ended up rewriting the Master Class 1 course. And part of it is I've just sent an email with some information about Captain Lario. What actually happened was that the AIMPA Congress in Melbourne in 1988, the person who was supposed to give the keynote speech was a professor from Japan, and he was supposed to give his speech was on technical innovations and their effect on marine pilotage. He fell sick, and then because the conference was in Melbourne, and the year before I had written a paper on a study on GPS for maritime, for marine navigator, the first one anywhere in the world. There was only 6 or 7 satellites up at the time. So we had to actually time the whole thing so that we had enough satellites for positions. And so they thought, well, it's about technical innovation, so get this person to do it. And so I presented this keynote speech at the Congress. And at the Congress, I met the Scandinavian Hans Hedestrom, and he invited me to Scandinavia, and I met Captain Lario. So when I came back, I had the confidence then to actually include a section on pilotage in the Master Class 1 course. It was not just moving a few wooden models. It was actually, I remember still how we divided pilotage up into port approaches, channel navigation, maneuvering, ship handling, and then berthing. So all these were dealt with in the course. And the part that was that I found in Scandinavia, which was very useful, is making turns. Because the way the turns used to be done in those days was you put plenty of rudder, then you tidied up at the end of the turn and pretended you knew where you were when you were doing the turn. So that's not really good enough in, with very large ships. So you need to know precisely where to start the turn, to be able to monitor the turn and, where the turn's going to end. So that was something that was developed by Captain Lario and Captain Benny Peterson, the two Scandinavians, for a special run on the Turku from Finland to Sweden run on the ferries there. That was way back in about 1980 they developed it. So then we started this Master Class 1, and I feel sometimes that I was the right man in the right place at the right time, because one of the advantages we had was the nautical school in Melbourne was very close to Melbourne University. And so the pilotage law is very complicated. And so to teach the legal part of pilotage, we had a Professor Martin Davies. He was a professor of maritime law at Melbourne University, which was about 2 tram stops from our nautical institution. And so it was very easy to get him to come down and talk about that. So we learned about the legal part of it. So that's one of the things which I would recommend that you deal with in your video sessions. Yeah. And then what happened was that, and interestingly, BRM was introduced into the Master Class 1 course as well, as much as we understood at that time. And then so then we sort of moved away from the UK system by having it was the whole Master Class 1 course was rewritten to suit Australian conditions. GPS was introduced into the course as well, because we realized it was going to have a big impact in the future. And I learned that in Scandinavia that they used to update their Master Class 1 syllabus every year, which was a real eye-opener to me, because the way that the syllabus from the UK was written, it seemed like it was there from the time of Adam and Eve, and it would be there till the end of the end of the world. So that was a very big thing I learned there. And then after that we ran that, and then the SAS Flight Academy, they developed a BRM course. And my friend Hans Hedestrom came down to Australia in 1992 to show us what the development of this BRM course. I think you'll be familiar with this VRM course. Wallums and various other companies ran that SAS course. It's
Very
now
much.
run by the company, this Swedish club, and it's the one with the computer-based training, videos on it. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of places in India where it runs. But at that time, it was very new. And so it was shown to people in Melbourne, and the shipping companies all saw it. And in 94, again, he came again. It was more developed by then. And it was nearly finished at that time. And so we ran seminars on BRM. And then in Australia, we went through a very bad period from 94, for about 15 months in 94, 95. Where we had 7 major accidents, and it was terrible. As I said yesterday, it's not as bad as losing the Ashes to England, but it was taken very seriously. And so there was at a very high level in meeting in the capital of Australia, it was decided that they were going to make BRM as part of integrate that into thinking on safety in Australian maritime. And so I'll leave the bits out. But I was encouraged to leave because I had the one who introduced all this to Australia. I was encouraged to leave this nautical institution in Melbourne and take up this task of, the pilotage system in Australia. And so then I left in 1995 in September. I was 53 years old at the time and put in charge of this. And the vehicle was to get everybody to start thinking, get a kind of baseline, common baseline was to use the BRM program. So what we did was we ran it like a military campaign. We ran BRM courses in Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane. And we ran a seminar. Before the courses, we ran a seminar to which everyone in the industry was invited. That's the shipping companies, the port managers, pilots, everyone. And so they were very successful. And people from 17 organizations attended the BRM courses. So then it was accepted. And then those courses were all conducted by Hans Hedestrom. So then I went to Scandinavia myself, to Stockholm, and I received the training. And then in 1996, we ran 39 courses. And it was 699 people did the course. So it was pretty well established. There were a few people from New Zealand who came to Australia to do the course. And then after a couple of years, we realized that BRM was not enough, right? And so because some people had got their tickets in the 90s, who were still working in the 90s, who got it in like 1955 or 1960. And the world had changed so much in that time, and it was very difficult for them to actually adapt to the world as it was developing with new technology, and because it was mostly visual piloting, but now you had radar, you had GPS coming in, all these new things, and so then it was decided there would be a professional development course, and that was called an Advanced Marine Pilots Training course. The first course was run in March 1998. And Hans Hedestrom helped me with that as well. And that's been extremely successful. It's still running. And over 1,000 certificates have been issued on that course. So that's part of the BRM. Together, the BRM course and the Advanced Marine perform the BRM program. So both of them feed off each other. So that had been going on. And then the next big event that took place was a ship. There was a ship called the SA Fortius. It hit the coal loader. It was under pilotage. The pilot lost control of the ship. It hit the coal loader in Port Kembla. And there were very big claims for that ship, $16 million. And it had very serious consequences for people involved. So what the safety outcome out of that, I was involved in the investigation, not the official one, but there was another investigation to get a safety outcome out of it. And was that there were three methods of doing that, of that maneuver. And if you were a captain on a ship, you wouldn't know what maneuver the pilot's going to carry out, right? So you'd come one trip, you'd have one pilot, he'd do it in one way, the next time might be in another way. So we realized then that the reason for that is there's no baseline knowledge on ship handling. So the only way you can get this baseline knowledge on ship handling is through the man model course. You can get it on a simulator as well, but it's not as effective because on a man model, there's real water, there's a real boat, and on the simulator is model. It's not, because when you're on a simulator, there's always this lurking suspicion that you're participating in a video game, even though everybody's very serious, but in the back of your mind, but you don't have that when you're on a man model. So fortunately, in Australia, Cliff Beasley, after he retired from the Newcastle Pilot Service, he set up this potash facility. So that was ready-made for this. So all the people who became pilots or aspiring, within the first 6 months, they go and do the man model course. So that way you have a baseline, knowledge after it. The change can't happen in 1 or 2 years. It has to be, a sustained period, right? And then the next big event that occurred was also in 2002. A pilot turned at the wrong beacon in Brisbane. He'd come back from leave, and also the beacon had been knocked over by another accident before, and they replaced it with a light. The color was the same as the beacons. The previous light was quick flashing white, the other light, the beacons were red and green, but this was a green flashing buoy they replaced it with. So it created a bit of confusion, and he turned at the wrong beacon. And so the bridge team didn't intervene, and so BRM basically failed. So then the safety outcome out of that was a safety management system for pilotage, for the actual pilotage, because there was more safety management systems, the QA systems, so they don't actually deal. The risk in pilotage is groundings, collisions, that's with the wharf, and the other one is with the one is injury or death of the pilot, and the pilot transfer. So these were the three very big things that happened, and so the man model has been running since then, and the BRM, we are on to the third generation BRM. So generally after about 4 or 5 years, the pilots repeat the BRM course. So whatever has been learned, we sort of updated. So that's roughly what's happened here in Australia.
Sir, thank you very much. I mean, this is what we expected when we had in research to talking to you about, the pilotage. You're the kind of person who has been there, done that. So apart from the pilotage reforms, you also have gone to the next level. Imparting that PRM third generation kind of knowledge to the pilots, which involves the big data and AI and analysis of VDR information and things like that. It's absolutely great.
Yes, sir. It was really great listening from Captain Ravi Nijjer. He talked about the BRM third generation and the advanced marine pilot training, and also the BRM course is to be done every 5 years for the pilots. Also the big data analysis, it was a new topic for me as well. So since the time is short, so we will continue it for a next episode.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We should again call him on second episode of our pilot talks, Pilot Ki Baat, and in that we'll definitely pick his brain again on some of the things what he wants to share. I'm sure he has got a lot to share, and again the next guest also is going to be on the pilotage soon. So let's conclude here and include Captain Ravi Nijjer for our next episode 2, Pilot Ki Baat, Pilot Talks. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you for the initiative, and let's continue with this initiative for some time now.
Sure, sir. Sure. In episode 2, we will be again inviting Captain Ravi Nijjer, sir. And at the end, I would like to thank our viewers for watching this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode. Till then, stay safe. And this is Captain Vijay and my co-host, Captain Gajanan, sir, signing off.